All right. We will get started now, but I just want to thank everyone for joining us for Handshake's Back to School Boot Camp. It's great to be here. I'm excited to talk about social media do's and don'ts. I think this will be a fun session for everyone. So let's get started. Just for a quick round of intros, I'm Nora Smith. I'm the Senior Social Media Manager here at Handshake. I've been in social media for about 8 years now. I've worked in online media, fashion retail, and now tech. One of the biggest struggles with every company is how to speak to a younger audience. So I'm glad you're here. It sounds like you might be having the same questions that I have had over my career. So hopefully I can help you out. And I will let Karimi introduce herself.
Hey everyone, my name is Karimi. I work on the consumer marketing team. A lot of my role is to inspire and encourage students to kind of share their journeys, whether that is career or kind of their academic life. My day-to-day really consists of connecting with them, whether that is, jumping on a quick call, giving them advice, or creating blogs for them to find, the best tools for them to make their next best step in their career. I'll pass it back to you, Nora.
Fantastic, thank you. Let's get started. So why is social content important to Gen Z? I would say one of the most effective recruiting tactics is to meet people where they are at. Wow. Okay. And so Gen Z is on social media. If you are a millennial like me, you will remember like flipping through magazines, hanging out at the shopping mall and people watching, flipping through channels. Gen Z is doing all of that on social media. That is where they're getting their inspiration. 80% of them, to be exact, is doing that. So 54% of Gen Z say that their favorite brands are the ones that make them feel like they're part of a community. So that's really where we come in, and we want to make sure that we are including them and that we're really thinking about them during our social media process. And then 73% are more likely to apply to a job after seeing employer content. So it's not just posting jobs on the feed, you really have to engage with your community. So knowing this, how can we connect with Gen Z? What makes their content successful? 90% of your content really needs to fall into one of these buckets. So the first one is that it's helpful. This is really what the top performing content for the Handshake feeds are. This is what drives, shares, and saves. And it's the content that's like tips, how-tos, or resources, any kind of advice or guides that your audience can use right away. This really kills for us across all of the feeds. Next will be the It's inspirational content bucket. So this is what reflects the real experiences that builds trust and connection with your audiences. Something like an intern spotlight, a day in the life, or motivational stories. This is what really helps drive that connection. And then our third bucket is it's entertaining. This is the fun stuff. It's where the memes and the trends really jump in. And you have room to play and share your personality so it doesn't just feel like all business, all ads.
And when it comes to recruiting, one type of content that continuously stands out to our students are employee testimonials. Here we have 3 students, Riley, Harsh, and Nyla, all saying that, all kind of sharing their own kind of experience and ideas as to why employee testimonials are their favorite type of content when it comes to the job hunt. But to really sum it all up, they consistently mention that they build trust from these employee testimonials because they give real unfiltered insight onto as to what it's like to work at that company. So a CEO saying that his company is great isn't the same as the intern that, is a level that they might be in, telling them, hey, here are all the growth opportunities at this company, and here's why I decided to join, or here's what I ended up loving at this company. And so always including people that are doing the job that they might be doing, and also kind of just sharing what life is like. It doesn't always have to be about the benefits. It could also be about, hey, we have free lunch every Wednesday, or here's a quick perk that I get. And so we always hear that students want to hear from people doing the work that they might, or people that they might be working with. I'll pass it back to you, Nora.
Great, fantastic. And I would just like to interject here when I talk about our social media channels that are student facing, I'm talking about Instagram, TikTok, and the Handshake feed primarily, but also a little bit of Pinterest, YouTube Shorts in there as well. So one quick tip I always ask myself when I am creating content is, would I save this, share this, or scroll past this? If it is just something I'm creating to post and it really has no end goal, then I don't think it's necessary. And it might even be better just to skip it or to do a quick pivot to something that might be easier but drive engagement. Okay. So knowing that, there are some content mistakes to avoid. Truthfully, you can do everything right, but not every post is going to be a winner. That's just the unfortunate fact about social media. Everyone talks about the dreaded algorithm. I can create what I think is a great post and it just falls really flat. But I do try and avoid these common mistakes. So the first one is being too promotional. Gen Z grew up on the internet, so their brains are essentially programmed to skip ads and anything that might look like an ad. So you want to make sure you add a little personality to each post. It's better to look like something a content creator or a real human made than something a brand made. Next is posting just to post. So every post needs to serve a purpose, just like I mentioned with my quick tip. Don't get something up just because. My quick tip in this situation is, if you are in a jam and you really need something easy and quick to get up, just come up with a poll or a question as a text post, something like, what would you wish you were asked in an interview? And that way people can engage, they can comment, but they can also read other comments. And you're creating a landing page for people to jump in and really engage with the brand. Lastly, you're skipping the fundamentals. So your content really doesn't need to be perfect, and ideally it won't look perfect, but it does need to be good. So you have to make sure you have quality lighting, your camera lens is clean, any copy is centered on the video and doesn't like run off on the sides. And I don't know if you've heard it, but Gen Z is really getting on us about the millennial pauses. So we want to avoid that. Just edit the video in CapCut or the Instagram Edits app, delete the first second, and start right when you're talking.
And then going into kind of a little bit more student insight, leaning into the promotional portion of it. Here we have Lucky really sharing that she can tell when something isn't authentic. Time and time again, students come back to us with this idea of wanting real insight and authentic videos coming from employers. And so getting vulnerable really shows students how important it is to, be able to see these are the hurdles we're facing and here's why we need your support. And it really makes them follow this mission and orient them to the company. And with that, I want to say thank you to Nora and everybody watching. I only really came here to give a couple insights from our students based on what they're saying. And Nora, that'll be it for me.
Great, thank you, Trini.
I'll be jumping into the chat to answer some messages. Bye, everyone.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so knowing all that you know so far, what do we want to do instead to speak to the Gen Z audience? So one, you want to speak to your audience's needs. Create content that solves a problem, answers a question, or delivers value. Next, you really want to mix content types. If you look at a brand's post and a brand that does well, sorry, if you go to their page and look at their posts, then you will see that it's a mix of video, photos, text, etc. You don't want just all single image graphics with a long body of paragraph text. Next, you need to tap into trends, but please do so responsibly. Do not tap in too hard. If something feels like a stretch, just skip it. With memes and trends, it's better to err on the side of being safe. I don't know if anyone else remembers around this time last year, the demure trend that really took over the internet. Everyone jumped on it and it quickly became oversaturated. So if you hit it at its peak, it felt like you were doing the same thing every other brand did, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think there were a lot of great branding moments there, but it doesn't really feel like your brand needs to do it, just skip it. Lastly, include a clear call to action. So what do you want people to do? This can either be like an easy apply now or check out more information on your page, or maybe you have a link in bio. Just direct people to take that one step further than just viewing the post. Okay, so next, I have a few examples that I pulled from our Instagram feed that did well. These also were cross-posted to our Handshake feed and typically did well there as well. So I'm going to show you kind of why I think they resonated. So this one was jargon explainer post, we had the differences between different terms you might see on a job description. So this intern versus fellowship, it was educational content that really delivers value here. It was university relevant. So something big that I always think about is, can this live outside of the Handshake accounts? AKA, does it resonate with people who don't even know what Handshake is? That will help drive saves and shares, and this hits that bucket. And then lastly, it's instantly digestible. It's not like 3 paragraphs explaining things. You just have quick bullet points of similarities and differences. Okay, this next example is a carousel, which was actually taken from an article that our Chief Education Strategy Officer was interviewed for. So that was great because someone else in our company did something, but I was able to leverage that and then create social content out of it. So this was guided content, which tends to perform well on our feed because it gives easy, actionable tips. We aren't asking students here to change their whole lives, just do something like set a bedtime routine or create a schedule and stick to it. It's also youthful, which kind of is a dreaded word, but it's not trying too hard. The language is really easy to understand without like getting too cringy and lingo coded. And then lastly, it has a scroll stopping design. It's fun, it's loud, it speaks to you. Okay, the next example really fits into our inspirational category. So this is feel good, and it resonates because there are a lot of students out there who are not landing internships, unfortunately, but it also feels human. It reassures students that setbacks are normal in a very casual way. And lastly, it's simple. It's just a few words on each slide, but it really speaks for itself here. We don't need to like overly explain anything. Okay, and our last example is me. It's a meme, it's a trend. So this was the You Look Happier trend from about a month or so ago. I think it's still going. I made it in 5 minutes sitting in the office. So this is an example of us jumping on a trending meme. We came up with it an hour before I filmed it. Just didn't have to plan a month in advance. It was short, snappy, and super easy to film. Not everything needs to be a high lift to perform well. I think that's really important. Sometimes the things that are quicker and just you turn around quickly can be top performers. Okay, so we're nearing the end here. I want to help you build out your content calendar. So this is going to be a multiple step process. Here we go about starting to build it about a month before. So right now we have our September calendar halfway through the planning process. But these are the 5 steps I always start with. 1 is to do your research. Look at what other recruiters and companies are doing. You don't have to be ashamed about doing that. What's performing well for them and what's falling flat. Let that inspire your direction. And you don't have to copy them, but if they have a franchise that's doing well, then maybe you find a franchise that's similar. Next, align with your recruiting calendar. So pull out any key dates, like when do job posts go live? When are you going to any career fairs? Do you have any big company initiatives you want to highlight? And then you can plug those into your calendar and those will kind of be the bones. Third, you're going to brainstorm ideally with the team. Do not do it alone. Ask any hiring managers, interns, student ambassadors, or anyone who just wants to be involved what content they would like to see. And then also if they have anything going on their teams that maybe would be good to highlight. Next, you will create your franchises. I love a franchise. This is the reoccurring content themes like maybe a job posting or a day in the life. We have on LinkedIn, we have a day in life once a month on a Friday, and they always perform super well. And lastly, you are going to give the users what they want. So students are coming to Handshake for jobs first and foremost. Prioritize your content around that. Show roles, hiring tips, and what success looks like. You can do other things that aren't job related, but this is the content that most likely will perform the best. Okay, this next slide will be our final slide, and it's what I think all of you came here for. So I saved the best for last. And this is a content calendar for you. It is for 1 month, but it's posting every day. You do not need to post every day. You probably shouldn't post every day, but if you want to, here's what you have. So each Monday is going to be a Monday tip. That will be your franchise. And then I wrote like the different tips that you can give. So 3 things students should know before applying, or any interview tips. And then Tuesday will be just kind of a random assortment. So you have a day in the life, anything that goes live in media, like if there are any articles about your company, a poll, which really drives engagement. Wednesday will be the same, a random smattering of things. And then Thursday is We're Hiring. So this is where you announce all your jobs, either a roundup or you can do 1 job per post. We do have a great product feature where you can attach a job that you're hiring for to your post. So I would recommend utilizing that. And then Friday, we do have another just smattering of things. You've got a trending meme you can fill in, any company spotlights, like your benefits and perks. And that is it. I do have some questions. So a secondary social platform, I think, was asked in the chat. I would say it depends on your brand. Me personally, I think Pinterest, because that is more, you're kind of throwing things out into the wild. Also, YouTube Shorts might be considered secondary. But really, like if you are a fashion brand, then those could be more of a primary. But if you're maybe like in finance or some sort of software, I wouldn't say that would be something you need to focus on. And that is it. So Kathleen Cooper shared a link so you can download this content calendar. Also feel free to screenshot it if that's easier. And thank you so much for joining our talk today, all about social media. Before you head out of the session, please take a moment to share your feedback in the survey. And don't forget to join us next week for part 2, Back to School Bootcamp, where we dive into even more strategies. Actually, I can live answer one more question. What would it look like now since Handshake is opening the floodgates? Will that change? Will that content change? We might get more content, which will be great. Also, more eyes on your content, which also will be great. I would say the best thing to prepare for that is to have content that you want to go live on a regular basis. So maybe if you were just posting things that you prepped a few days in advance, prep it maybe a week or 2 in advance. Also, get in the comments. More people means more eyes and more comments to each post. So make sure you respond to anyone who's engaging with you. Okay, well then, thank you again for watching and participating. We hope you enjoyed this session. Have a great rest of your day, and please fill out that survey. I would really appreciate it.